Hello, and welcome to the Working Man's review of
The World of Final Fantasy!
This year marks the 30th anniversary of the Final Fantasy series, and it's been celebrated with the world of Final Fantasy. The game centres around twins Lan and Rain, and you can actually switch between them on the map as the male and female, so no one will have to assume your gender. The twins, although they don't know it, are world-conquering Mirage Blokes. Mirages are monsters, by the way, love. And they're called giants with a J, which change size from normal sort of lifelike characters to characters that look like vinyl pops. In fact, everything looks like a vinyl pop in this game. They are the main characters in a very pretty and childlike looking world called Grimoire. Grimoire is a world which includes Final Fantasy towns and places of old, like the train graveyard of Final Fantasy VII, the lake where Yuna dances for the dead lads in Final Fantasy X, and the desert prison in Final Fantasy VIII, etc. I actually really disliked Lan at the beginning of the game, but as you move through the game, he actually becomes so stupid that he's quite hilarious, even though he says honk all the time. Rain also has a very good scene with a cactuar. It's not mucky, but she kind of like gives it a crack, but she can't. She's too slow because the cactuar is a right quick lad and he zips about like mad. The fox thing that also follows you about as well, it's called Tarma, and they've tried to make it really cute by saying the all the time. So it'll say, hello the Rain, or I'm going to the town. That was a shit example, but you know what I mean, and it could do with fucking the off. You capture enemies and they help you battle, obviously, and they also help you on the field, so if there's a bit of a bridge that you need to fly over, they'll help you fly over it as long as they're a winged creature. And they also help you kind of melt ice caps and such forth, so you can get around the map easier and get extra treasure. So, and you also need them to get past certain points of the game, so depending on which ones you catch, you know, you really need to be a bit strategic with it, which is quite a nice little feature. Stacking is a new feature on this game, where you kind of stand on each other's heads, and if you have two characters that have fire and you have Firer, then you'll get Fire Auger, and you also stack all your HP together as well. You can unstack, but obviously you'll get more turns, but obviously you'll be a lot weaker. So that's a nice little feature. Obviously it looks pretty fucking stupid, and when I first saw it I thought, that looks pretty fucking stupid, and all the way through the game you'll think it looks pretty fucking stupid, but at the end of the day, it's the end of the day. You imprison these mirages by using your fancy hand that your mum gave you, and you've got to kind of meet certain conditions to actually imprison these characters. For example, you might have to poison them, you might have to put them to sleep, you might have to knock their HP down to a certain amount. Pokemon. But yeah, it's a nice little feature, and you can actually catch quite a lot. Champions are your summons or your GFs, depending on your favourite Final Fantasy, and they're all old characters from previous Final Fantasy titles, such as Squall from Final Fantasy VIII, Cloud from Final Fantasy VII, the Warrior of Light from Final Fantasy I, and you can even get Sephiroth if you get the Day 1 edition, which he has One Winged Angel playing as he comes out, which really gives it that nostalgic kick. Action time battle turn-based combat makes a comeback in this game, and it really is so important to these titles. I mean, I know Final Fantasy 15, the more I see of it at the minute, the more I don't want to buy it, because they've completely scrapped it. It's just Devil May Cry your tits off, and maybe that's the way it's going, but for me, that's not the way I want to see Final Fantasy. And this is really a nice welcome kind of comeback to it from previous titles such as 13, where it was turn-based but it was a bit mental at the same time. You can travel around the world, but it's not as free as 7, 8 and 9 where you can actually run on the map. It's more like 10 where you choose a location and you kind of zip off there, which is a bit of a shame really, because I think 7, 8 and 9 really do get it down for world map size, especially because I mean a lot of games now they're either very linear like Final Fantasy 13 was, or they're absolutely humongous like Skyrim, where you've got to run from one side of the map to the other to get a fucking item like a potion or something to take it back to the bastard. I mean, everyone will say, oh, but you can quick fucking run and all that bollocks, but what's the fucking point? Just make it a nice size and it'd be fantastic. The gameplay is extremely addictive, and the level up system allows you to teach your Mirage's battle and field skills to help you along the way to evolve them. Yeah, evolve them. So is it any good? Well, I'm a bit on the fence, to be honest. I mean, it's got a lot of the kind of qualities of the older Final Fantasy series, but it doesn't take itself seriously at all. It's more aimed at kids and all that sort of thing. But it just seems so bland. There's no story, and the story, like the ending is just like, so what? Everything is just like, ugh. And it's like, I mean, I know they're only doing it to kind of get all the older characters in and all that kind of shit and show them off and all that, but just put a bit of effort into the story. I mean, even the new ones like 13, what? I didn't have a fucking clue what was going on. I don't think anyone did. If you had a clue what was going on, tell me down here. Alright. It's obviously aimed at a younger audience, so don't expect terrorism, titty bars, a lad being impaled with ice, etc. But it's not altogether a bad thing unless you only play games with big guns, footies and burly lads. You know, FIFA, COD, then you're fucked. Sorry loves, waste of 30 quid. I mean, your first battle is in Starbucks, for fuck's sake. There are some extras when you complete the game that don't make themselves very clear. They left me scratching my head for a bit, but they're a piece of piss when you know what the crack is. I think it's a must-have for the Final Fantasy kind of fans, just for the nostalgic purposes, if nothing else. I mean, the game, it wasn't a grind, it's a very easy game to play, and you kind of go through it in about a week if you're really into it. For kind of people that aren't into the Final Fantasy series, it's a bit on the fence. It's a decent game, and hopefully it'll get people into previous titles, the better ones such as 7, 8 and 9. But I'm not holding my breath too much because it is not the best representation of the Final Fantasy series in my opinion. All in all, I enjoyed it. It wasn't a slog, it was nice to play through. You can do it in a few days if you really, really hammer it. You didn't have to train a lot to beat the bosses or anything, so it's one of them really. It's not a bad game, and it's worth 30 quid. So, see what you think. Buy it. Comment below, tell me I'm a dickhead, I'm completely wrong, it doesn't represent Final Fantasy at all. What the fuck are you on about, working man, you tit? So yeah, what did you think of the game? Let us know. What's your favourite Final Fantasy game? Let us know. I've been the working man, and remember, don't be a bottom bitch, be a top bloke. Cheers.